Electrocast.
Why wait to see if you'll get something you like this Valentine's Day when you can go to BlueNile.com and find something you'll love? Whether you're looking to treat yourself to a little winter sparkle or show a galentine how much you appreciate them, Blue Nile offers a wide selection of high-quality designs, expert guidance, and free 30-day returns for the ultimate peace of mind. You can even design your own jewelry. Right now, save up to 50% at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
On this episode of the SNSW Podcast, after taking a look at the NFC in Episode 5, it's time for the AFC, as Joe Malkin, Rayshawn Buchanan, and Craig D'Alessandro preview and predict the record for each team, with a few surprises along the way. This is the SNSW Podcast, but it's all relative. And welcome to episode 6 of the SNSW Podcast. I am Craig D'Alessandro, executive producer of the SNSW Network. If this is your first time finding us, please consider subscribing. It's the easiest way to see when we publish new episodes. The SNSW Podcast is a 1-hour weekly, 2-hour monthly podcast recapping the latest news in the world of sports with a New England flavor. The show notes and transcript of today's episode can be found in the description box below, as well as our WordPress and Buzzsprout pages. We are on iTunes, Spotify, Google, and wherever you generally get your podcasts. Be sure to rate us and leave a review of any of our shows. We always appreciate your feedback. We are recording today's show on Tuesday, September 8th, to be published Thursday, September 10th. On this episode, it's the SNSW NFL Predictions Show, as we predict the record and reputation of teams around the NFL. As you heard in Episode 5, we touched on the NFC, and on this episode, we have the AFC. And here to lead us into that is our host for this episode, Michael Marcangelo.
Thanks, Craig, and welcome to episode 6 of the SNSW podcast. This is the AFC's version of the SNSW prediction game. A lot like last episode, the rules are simple. The 6 members of the SNSW team have been broken up into 2 groups of 3. You heard the NFC, now it's time for the AFC. Each group will get 12 minutes to submit their agreed upon best guess for the record of each NFL team for the upcoming season. Then, the other group will get 2 minutes to respond to that prediction. Whether they think solid choices, or much more fun, they think, you guys are pretty dumb. Each group will get a point for every correct record they predict within 2 games. So if we say the Pats will win 10 and they win 8 or they win 12, that's a point. At the end of the conference, they will submit their now 3 wildcard picks that, if correct, count for 2 bonus points. Final tally will happen at the end of the season. As you heard yesterday, the NFC wrap-up was myself, Dave Clark, and Bob Kelly. And now the AFC will be Joe Malkin, Rayshawn Buchanan, and Craig D'Alessandro, starting with the AFC South. Boys, take it away.
So, Rayshawn and Craig, we're going to start with the Houston Texans, who do take on the Kansas City Chiefs on Thursday night. I have the Texans at 9-7 this year. I think Bill O'Brien is consistent, but also a little nuts. And why did he sanction the Hopkins trade? I know we can go into my whole theory of he didn't want to be there. 5 years ago, their receiving core this year would be one of the best in the NFL with Fuller, Cooks, Stills, and Cobb. Like, if you told me that 5 years ago, I'm drafting all 4 of them in fantasy football. And there's so much speed, but are their hands good enough? And they've all kind of had injury problems along the way. David Johnson needs to be healthy, and Watson needs to be better to run. Watson was sacked 54 times in 2019, most in the NFL. I just see a lot of disappointment with these guys. I have them at 9-7. What do you guys think?
I'm just happy we're getting rid of the absolute dumpster fire of a division. First off, because this is just a bad division. It's not good. Houston's going to win this division. I completely agree with Joe. They're going to be 9-7.
Oh, I didn't say they're going to win.
They're not. Oh, okay. All right. Then I agree on their record that they're going to be 9-7. But the only reason they're going to win this, the only reason they're going to go 9-7 is because of this Deshaun Watson. They have the Houston Texans have won this division 2 years in a row, but the runners-up to this division have advanced further in the playoffs than the Texans have both of those years. So, I think that, the fact that Deshaun Watson is Deshaun Watson's going to be enough for them, but this is just a garbage division for me. It's going to be like this. It's going to be a theme for this division.
Yeah, I don't have Houston winning the division either, but however, believe it or not, we actually have them having the same record. So check that out.
We're already all on the same page
already, So, but I think losing DeAndre Hopkins was huge. That to me is really unforgivable on Bill O'Brien's part and Bob McNair, whoever's in their front office. Like that just can't happen. I like Will Fuller as a player, but I've said before, I don't think that either him or JJ Watt will probably make it past 5 or 6 games because they're just prone to injury. And at the end of the day, we know that your best ability is your availability. So I just don't see that happening.
9-7.
It's 9-7. We agree to that. So next.
All right. So next, I know we could go off on that, but we're gonna go with 9-7 on the Texans, and then we're gonna move to the team that Craig alluded to that was the wild card team last year, but went further than the Houston Texans, and that's the Tennessee Titans, who I have winning the AFC South. I'm just gonna throw that out there now. I really like this team. Like, if I had to pick a mediocre team to like, it's the Tennessee Titans. I have them at 10-6. I really do think Tannehill is a new man, and he has his own personal bodyguard in the backfield in Derrick Henry, who I think we all love as a football player. I think he's phenomenal. Their young receivers they have another year under their belt. AJ Brown will probably see a production slip. They have Jonnu Smith at tight end. Corey Davis will be important to the offense. Tannehill was only sacked 36 times, which was middle of the pack last year. And if Jadeveon Clowney, who they signed last week, and Malcolm Butler can stay healthy, I think this defense is too fast and too hard-hitting not to go 10-6 and not to win this division.
Yeah. So I actually don't have them winning the division, but I have them losing the tiebreaker to Indianapolis, so we'll get to that in a second. But the addition of Clowney to me was I know he only had 3.5 sacks last year, but I feel like he's someone when he's locked in, can be, a playmaker on defense and a difference maker. And then, Derrick Henry he is one of the top running backs in the AFC, if not the NFL. He led the league in rushing last year. I think an underrated move was when them actually signing Gostkowski, especially if he's healthy. I just think that, they're becoming New England South, so to speak. And I believe that they'll have a good season, but I still don't think they'll win the division because you have a guy like Ryan Tannehill. But they'll still go, 10-6, maybe 11-5, but I think they lose a tiebreaker to the Colts.
So, Clowney's just going to have a field day in this division with these quarterbacks.
Tennessee, I have them going actually 7-9. I have a really, really hard time. We talked about everything with Jadeveon Clowney and Derrick Henry, but I just have a hard time looking at this team being a winner long term with Ryan Tannehill being your starter for 16 games. That just doesn't, I've seen him on Miami for so many years. It just doesn't work in my head that he's.
We also never saw him play this bad or this good in Miami.
That's true. They're completely different teams. I think Mike Vrabel's a better coach than he's ever had, but still, the player he is, I just don't see it in a full season.
So what do you think?
7-9.
So you're at 7-9. Ray and I are both at 10-6. Let's go 9-7.
Yep.
Cool.
9-7, perfect.
All right, and we move on to the Indianapolis Colts, who Rayshawn believes is going to win the AFC South. I believe they finished third in this division. My record is 8-8, but this is kind of a weird one for me because Frank Reich is one of my favorite coaches in the NFL. I think he gets so much done with so little. Where I said earlier that the 49ers were Kansas City light, I think Frank Reich is Bill Belichick light, which is kind of funny seeing as they were supposed to have Josh McDaniels. Phillip Rivers is the quarterback. If he and T.Y. Hilton can stay healthy, it'll make for some fun highlights. Rivers loves that deep ball. We saw it with Keenan Allen in San Diego and Los Angeles. They have one of the best offensive lines in the league, which is great for an aging quarterback. Marlon Mack and Jonathan Taylor in the backfield. I have them at 8-8, but I think this team is going to be fun to watch.
I feel really bad for the other team on the NFC because we're just agreeing on a lot of this here.
I know.
Indianapolis, to me, who a team I think will finish second in this division at also 7-9. Phillip Rivers, he loves that long ball, and I think with actually a good offensive line, unlike what he had in San Diego and Los Angeles for a number of years, just throwing it up to T.Y. Hilton, they're going to score a lot of points. Their defense is better than it has been, but I just don't think it's to the point where they're going to be contending. So, I just don't see it yet, but this is definitely a team that you should watch out for.
Jack Doyle could have one of the best seasons at tight end he's going to have in his career this year.
Well, I actually have them at 11-5, so I guess I'm a little bullish on them. But I think like Marlon Mack and T.Y. Hilton are the best wide receiver running back duo in this division. And I just think obviously Phillip Rivers should be comfortable in the Frank Reich system because he had him as a coach over in
That's right.
San Diego. And then so I just so if they're healthy, I just feel like they should win. They should be the favorite to win the division.
So you have them at 11-5. Craig and I both have them at 8-8. I know this is very diplomatic of me, but I think we put them at 9-7 with the other two teams, and then we can decide who wins the division later.
I'm just saying I had them at 7-9.
Oh, you had them at 7-9. I had them at 8. All right. What do we think of 9-7?
I won't say no. I'd say
like I said, I still think they win the division. I think they get the tiebreaker, so I said that. So
that's true.
We can go with 9-7. Yeah, that's fine. 9-7.
And the final team,
it should be fast.
Mike, what's our clock at? Because the first thing I have written for a note on the Jacksonville Jaguars is tank for Trevor. Doug Marrone is an absolute fraud. He's a fraud. Gardner Minshew is the best thing they have going for them, and he's kind of a cult hero. Like, he's going to sell tickets and put butts in seats, but they'll be competitive. But they're not going to win many games. DJ Chark is the only wide receiver there. They have a competent defense. They always have. But in this division, they're going to have a tough time. And then my last note that I wrote, this was too much to write about a team I have zero faith in, 2-14.
Yeah, this is a team that's just pretty much rebuilding, and they're competing for the number one pick. Basically this season is about whether their starting quarterback moving forward is going to be Gardner Minshew or somebody else. That's
for Lawrence next year.
Basically all they're playing for.
Yep. What's your record, Craig?
Oh Lord, what is my record with the Jacksonville Jaguars? 4-12.
Oh wow, that's generous. Ray, what do you think?
So you'll laugh at this. I didn't even write notes for them. That's how I forgot about them. So they're trash. So that lets you know what I think about them. So I don't even think they go 4-12. I think they go 2-14.
Yeah.
When you trade literally the whole damn team away, you get rid of Coughlin, who was in the front office as a special advisor.
He was just old.
Yeah, he was just old. But this team went to the AFC Championship game and everyone thought it was on a rise, and just like that, it was over. So I said, we don't need to continue. But they'll go, typical, right? They'll go 2-14, and they'll get a top 5 pick, and they'll still ruin that too.
As a great man once said, as the host of this segment, I'm gonna tell you that they're going 2-14.
I'm not gonna
direct quote.
I'm not gonna argue with you on that.
All right, boys, go ahead. 2 minutes.
Okay, so as the host of this segment, you're taking the executive approach and going 2-14 with one of the worst teams in football when our host went going to the
I'm still thinking about Mike putting the
the only thing I'm thinking about right now, all right? We were like go to the Super no, but so
I'm worried about them though. I'm worried about the AFC podcast team because immediately they started getting along when we spent about 12 minutes a segment just absolutely at each other's throats.
Wait till we get to the East.
Wait, I do have, so going to the actual picks here, I do have to agree with Joe on the Titans here. I think the Titans are a dark horse, if I could talk.
Love those horses.
A dark horse for the Super Bowl. Be quiet, Lions, man. And I think Derrick Henry is going to emerge as that top tier of running back this year. So I agree with you on that one, Joe. I think Titans definitely win that division.
Yeah, I mean, I got to agree. I think the Titans are the favorite in that division. I do think that the Colts, with Phillip Rivers in a dome, though, could be sneaky. But, I mean, your picks weren't outlandish. I do think the Jacksonville Jaguars probably have 4 wins in them. That's about it. But, Bobby, no, they're not going to win the division, okay? DK, go ahead.
They're a dark horse, boy. They're a dark horse. I think Indianapolis is not as good as you guys said, is the only thing I disagree with. I think that I personally think, just my own special personal me opinion, is that Phillip Rivers sucks.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say. So that's it.
All right, Michael, where are we going next?
All right, so we are going to the AFC North. You all have 12 minutes starting now.
I love the AFC North. I love this division because it's actually going to be competitive again, except for one team. And we'll get to them because we're going to start with the team that I think is going to win the division, and that's the Baltimore Ravens at 13-3. Last year they finished 14-2. I think this year that there's a little bit of a slip. It's a one-game slip. That's all I think it is. I think you're going to see Lamar Jackson learn how to manage his offense better. I think in a lot of places last year he felt like he needed to use his legs and be a playmaker with his feet rather than putting the ball into the hands of his playmakers, which he has so many of, including Mark Ingram in the backfield. He has Mark Andrews at tight end. They really haven't changed much, and John Harbaugh was on the hot seat. If everybody remembers, prior to the 2019 season, like, everybody wanted him gone. And I think that was partly Flacco's fault, because I think Joe Flacco just decided that he's like done and wants to sit on a couch and watch TV the rest of his life. Baltimore is ranked 32nd in schedule difficulty heading into the season. And like I said, you might see some numbers slip from Jackson, but I just like this team all the way around, 13-3.
I love this team heading into this year. I think they are pretty much the exact same team. Jackson's going to have another phenomenal year like he did last year. I don't think he's going to run as much as he did during his MVP year last year. I still think he'll be a good dual-threat quarterback, but essentially, they added Mark Ingram in the running game. But this is essentially the same team that they had from last year, and that was a pretty good team. And they added even more on the front seven. So I look at this team, I think they dip a little bit because I have a hard time, giving any team like one of those phenomenal records, like one of those, they're going to come out 15-1 records. I see them as an 11-5 team. They're going to be really good.
So as I was saying, they're not going to dip that far, Craig. I do appreciate the sentiment, though. I had them going 14-2, so they're going to have the same record they had last year. I think finally, Lamar gets his first playoff win, but like I said, we'll speak about that another time. So you brought up J.K. Oh, I don't know if anyone brought up J.K. Dobbins, but with them drafting him, I think besides Edwards-Helaire, who was drafted by Kansas City, I think he'll have the most impact as a rookie running back. So I expect them to do more of the same. I actually think Lamar's numbers will be improved as a passer.
I agree.
He has to run in order for them to be as successful. So, it may be different when he does it. Maybe he'll rush 5 times as opposed to 10, but he has to keep that threat there. But they win the division at 14-2.
So 11-5, 13-3, 14-2. Let's meet in the middle and go with that 13-3. 13-3.
I think there's no way they win 11 games, though. They're going to win more than that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
I just have a hard time giving any of those teams they're going to come out and just blow doors out.
But I don't see 12.
Yeah, but they dominate though. Like, it's not like it's one thing. It's one thing if they were 7-9 the year before, and then they got all this talent. It was they're going to go 15-1. It's no, because no one's a paper champion. But they showed last year with the same exact team. They're really good.
Maybe it's because we're Patriots fans. I don't see 13-3, 12-4 as outstanding. I see 14-2 as that threshold where it's okay, now you're saying that a team is elite. No, you know what I mean? That's
no, I agree. Take that, Bobby. Take that.
So, all right, we're moving on because we spent a lot of time on the Ravens, just like the NFC team spent a lot of time on the Bucs, who won't win a playoff game. Pittsburgh Steelers I have next at 10-6 after a disappointing year at 8-8 last year with no Ben Roethlisberger. He's healthy. I think Mike Tomlin is a good coach in the NFL, especially with Roethlisberger. I think James Conner is underrated and will have a much better year this year, even though he did play well last year. The Steelers defense is always the Steelers defense. And I don't see this team going 500 or worse with this might be the hot take, with a healthy Roethlisberger. I don't see him with James Conner, Juju Smith-Schuster, a good defense, 10-6.
is the hot take that Ben Roethlisberger is going to be healthy?
Yes.
I actually completely, and I'm sorry, NFC team, but I completely agree with Joe on this. Ben Roethlisberger was lost early last year, and this team still managed to carve out an 8-8 record. And, with Roethlisberger coming back with an offense that clearly he was comfortable with, and it wasn't comfortable last year with that, parade of quarterbacks that Pittsburgh put out, and a defense that's just absolutely led by TJ Watt on a pass rush, they're going to be feeling really comfortable, the AFC North this year. I see them as a 10-6 team.
Well, guess what, guys? Guess what I had their record as?
10-6.
10-6, baby. Let's get it.
We are just right.
It's almost like we had a meeting before this. It's great. Yeah, Big Ben coming back to me is huge for them. I do believe he stays healthy. I don't think he's had too many seasons where he's been out for the year or.
Nah, he's got 2 Super Bowl wins. He's better than Eli Manning.
Yeah, exactly. No doubt. Romo too, but no, yeah. So I just think
going
right, and then locking up. It's my turn. Locking up Cam Hayward, I think, also was huge too. I think he's been a staple of that defense. So, and yeah, so I think yes, TJ Watt's a beast too. So yeah, I got them going 10-6, and should be a bounce back year for them.
Next up, we have the Cleveland Browns, who I have at 7-9. Just going to throw it right out there at the beginning. Who is former Vikings offensive? Yeah, wow. Where'd that?
Kevin Stefanski, I got you.
Where'd that New York accent come from? Who is former Vikings offensive coordinator Kevin Stefanski? With an offensive coordinator at the helm, I see this team playing well on offense. I mean, Cleveland was literally on the verge of a dumpster fire with Freddie Kitchens at head coach last year. He didn't know how to manage the personalities, and I think Stefanski will have a much better time of doing that with Mayfield, OBJ, Landry, and they just signed Hunt to a 2-year Kareem Hunt to a 2-year extension. I just think he's going to be able to manage those personalities. This team is going to get there, but it's not going to be in 2020. But if Myles Garrett can stay out of trouble and they can keep their defensive players on the field, I mean, I see 3 of their wins coming against Cincy and Washington. I see them beating the Giants and the Colts, but they'll surprise a couple teams along the way. I got 7-9.
I have them at 8-8. I think that the head coach position was obviously their biggest addition. With a coach like him coming from Minnesota, I think that, this is when this team was designed, it was supposed to be an offense-heavy team, and I think it's going to be heading into 2020. And they should be right into it. They should be contending, at least for a wild card spot. Baker Mayfield should have a much better year than he did last year, and this offense should finally start to click a little bit. I have them at 8-8.
I have him at 9-7 actually. I think this is the time that Baker Mayfield has to take that step. Like, it's a put up or shut up year for him.
Sure.
You can't have all that talent around you and not produce. So, like I said, Hunt and Chubb, that should be a good running back duo for him. That should help him out. And then it's like getting a coach that's going to be centered around making him better should help that team immensely. So I got them going 9-7. Potential wild card, who knows? But I got them going 9-7.
So we had 7-9, 8-8, 9-7. We're going to put them at 8-8, and I think they can contend for a wild card. That doesn't necessarily mean we're going to pick that at the end, but we'll put the Cleveland Browns at 8-8, and we finish off the AFC North with this is weird for me to say. I think they're a worse football team than the Jacksonville Jaguars, but I think they're going to finish with more wins, and that's the Cincinnati Bengals. And my first note on them was yuck. This is the coach that I think is gone before he unpacks his bags, and that's Zach Taylor. I don't think he makes it through the season. Things have changed a little bit. I mean, Dalton gone, Joe Burrow in. Maybe that's what saves Zach Taylor's job, is the fact that Joe Burrow is a rookie quarterback and they're going to give him time. But looking at their schedule, no game on their schedule gives me any hope that they're going to win anything. I have them at 3-13.
I actually have them at 6-10, believe it or not. I think they're going to be a lot better than the thing. I really think Joe Burrow is going to continue that really offensive showing he put on in LSU. And, they tell me that AJ Green's finally healthy this year. And if that's his first option, Joe Burrow, I think, should have while obviously a losing record, I think that they're actually going to do better than people think heading into 2021 after a subpar 2020 season, better than people think.
Yeah, they'll go 4-12. I am excited to see the Tiger King come in and throw
the real Tiger King.
I love that too. I've been waiting all night to use that. But having him throw the football, I think having a wide receiver like AJ Green would also help. And then I think just keeping extending Joe Mixon was huge for them too. He's had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, so they'll be exciting at times. But they win nothing more than 4 games. Can
I say one thing about Joe Mixon?
Sure.
Dude's a piece of shit.
Wow. He's a good running back, though. Yeah, so I agree.
Well, there's a lot of guys in the NFL. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger could be classified as the same thing.
Sure. Exactly, correct.
but good quarterback. So
I've seen video of Joe Mixon being a piece of shit.
Well, fair,
yeah.
But that's not going to change the fact that they're going to win or lose games because of Joe Mixon this year.
It was more of an observational life point.
Well, I can't give them 6 wins and I can't give them 5, so I'm gonna go with Rayshawn's 4-12 on that one. I have no faith in that team, and I think that they're just gonna. I think 6 is way too much. I still think 4 is too much. If they had a Super Bowl for the worst teams in the NFL, it would be the Bengals and Jaguars in my mind. All right. Mr. Marcangelo, what are we doing?
Just a couple of things here. Don't say could when referencing Ben Roethlisberger being a piece of shit, right? He is, not could. He is one. And the Ravens are the definition of a paper champion. They have not won anything under this new regime with Lamar Jackson. Yeah, they had a lot of wins last year.
In 1 year.
How did they do in the playoffs?
Right, thank you, Joe.
Our time.
Yeah, it's our time. You guys need to meet yourselves. They did nothing. They lost. I also just want to say one thing. There's a lot of ass grabbing going on in these segments with you guys. A lot of agreeing. I want to see some more conflict here, okay?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know we put the best friends in the world together. Jeez.
Just the most reasonable.
Our time. I only have 1 point, and it's that Joe Burrow is, as a rookie quarterback, the worst possible division to come into is to get just absolutely killed 4 times a year by the Ravens defense and the Steelers defense. He better learn how to win a game like 5-3 because that's what happens in that division. Like, if he doesn't know how to do that, then I don't think he's going to be very good. Bobby was champing at the bit to get in, so go ahead, Bobby.
I don't agree that I think the Ravens are not going to run less this year. If anything, I think they end up running more. Harbaugh already said he's not adjusting his offense to keep Lamar healthy. He's going to do what makes their team the best possible, and that's run with Lamar Jackson. 2, I think the Steelers win this division. I think that shoulder injury and surgery to Big Ben is a big deal that people aren't talking about, and I think they win the division. And with the Bengals, I can't hate on their last year or Zach.
Yeah, you can. It was awful.
Because
really easy. It's really easy. Watch. The Bengals were terrible.
Coming into 2019, that team was already looking at 2020. All right. After week 8, they had Ryan Finley starting as quarterback for the last 8 games of the season. I'm just saying Zach Taylor keeps his job to the end of the season unless they start out like 0-12.
Our time is up. Their time is now, and they will be dedicating their next 12 minutes to the AFC West. Your 12 minutes starts now.
So apparently we can't be nice to each other anymore. So let's start with the AFC West, where the Kansas City Chiefs are first, and they're going to go – wait for it. Remember what I said about the Ravens, where you can't give them – or I said about any team to Craig. 14-2 is an elite record. The Kansas City Chiefs go 14-2. And they have a win-now mentality. We've talked about it before with the contract that Patrick Mahomes signed in the offseason. How are they going to keep anybody else? So they go and win now. They figure it out now. 23 sacks of Mahomes last year means that they have the best offensive line in the league. Mahomes, Hill, Watkins, Kelsey, Hilaire, Mecole Hardman, Demarcus Robinson. Their defense was middle of the road in 2019. They're only going to get better this year. Andy Reid is a top 3 coach in the NFL. Not even going to playoffs, and what I think they're going to do there, 14-2.
Well, considering the fact that this is year one of Patrick Mahomes' last 4 years in the NFL, it's going to be an absolutely
You're insane. All right. Okay. First of all, no, this is where we're going to get heated. This is one of the points that gets me going every time you say it, because we get into Mike's like, he's going to be great for 8 years. And you're like, no, he's not even going to be in the NFL in 4 years. And he's not going to be out in 4 years. He signed a long contract. I get it. It's not the best contract in the world, but I understand why they signed it. I understand why they offered it to him, and I understand why he signed it. But there's zero chance that he is out of the NFL in 4 years. There's zero chance he's out of the NFL in 7. And Mike and I were talking about it when comparing him to Tom Brady, which they're two very different players. We understand that. But Brady was elite, which this makes Bobby angry. Brady was elite for 8 years. Patrick Mahomes will be elite for 8 years, and I believe that started last year. I give him 7 more years, but go ahead, Craig.
I just believe that the way he plays is just asking for trouble. It's the same way with Lamar Jackson. The way he plays is asking for trouble, and I think that, eventually he's going to get one of those sacks where he just doesn't come back, and then that'll be the end of him. But that being said, for this year, they are going to dominate. It'll be a 13-3 record. It's just a question of how dominant they are, whether they just cruise in the AFC Championship game or whether they have a few miscues.
Remember when a guy on the other side of things said that he made a point about a guy and then turned it around? Well, I'm going to kind of do the same thing here and tell you that there was a guy in 2008 that got his knee blown up and came back and was elite for 9 more years, or at least elite for a few more years, and then still pretty good after that. And I can't with you and Patrick Mahomes. Rayshawn, get me out of the hole.
Yeah, that's a joke, Craig. I'm sorry, brother. But, he'll be elite for a long time. But anyway, so I have them going 15-1, and the only reason why they'll lose a game is because they'll rest the starters at the end. This is the Mahomes era. This is his time. I think that he'll win his second MVP this year as well. Like I made a reference to him earlier on the show, but drafting Edwards Helaire like that, to me he looks like Brian Westbrook 2.0. And what Andy Reid did with him. So I just feel like adding another weapon like that to go with Kelsey, Watkins, Hill, they're going to be dangerous. Like they only lose a game because they choose the rest of the side at the end of the year.
I don't think it gets to that point. I think if they're 15-0 in week 17, I think they play their guys to go 16-0 because I think Harbaugh is that kind of guy. I mean, he was one of the guys that started the whole thing with New England, trying to get us in trouble, pulling the rule book out on us after Bill did it to him. I think if he's got an opportunity to go 16-0 and put himself in the same conversation as the 2007 Patriots, he takes that opportunity and runs with it. So Craig, you had him at 13-3. I had him at 14-2. Rayshawn at 15-1. Ray, I'm going to go on our end here. I'm going to call the 14-2 as the division winners. I don't disagree with you, but I think putting them at 14-2 leaves us open for that 15-1, 16-0, which I do think is possible. Our next team is the Las Vegas Raiders. New city, new stadium, same Raiders. I don't like Derek Carr, but I don't think that he can't be successful. He's got Henry Ruggs III. He's got Darren Waller. They bolstered the offensive line. Carr is a guy that needs to stay upright. He's kind of like a poor man's Drew Bledsoe in my mind. But he needs to be more upright than Bledsoe did, and that's kind of saying something. They're going to struggle against Kansas City because everybody's going to struggle against Kansas City. Their defense puts up a fight. I have them at 9-7. It might be a lot. I think if they had fans in the stands, I think that 9-7 record would hold up more. But I have the Raiders at 9-7.
Yeah, I have them at 8-8. Just like some other quarterbacks we talked on here, like I think it's a put up a shut up year for Derek Carr too. The numbers are kind of misleading with him because he threw for another 4,000 yards. Excuse me, last year I think 21 touchdowns, 8 picks, but. When you have a talent like Josh Jacobs and you have a talent like Darren Waller who's coming out of nowhere, you have to produce. And, yes, they've traded some pieces away since Gruden's been there, but there's still talent there. But like I said, like Joe said, same team, even though they're in a different city. They go 8-8, and they continue to be in that place of mediocrity. So
I think that the Raiders were one of the most disrespected teams in the NFL last year because even though, they stunk, they were still in contention for a playoff spot until the middle of December, maybe towards the end of December. I don't hate Carr as much as a lot of other people do, and I still think that Gruden's a good coach. But that being said,
I agree with that.
Yeah, and but all that being said, they're still a 6-10 team.
6-10. So I think we go with Rayshawns here and go in the middle of 8-8. I think that puts us in a safe position where we can go drop to the 6-10 or get to the 9-7. And I don't think much more needs to be.
The Cowboys of the AFC.
No, they're better. So we'll go with 8-8 for the Raiders. And the third team in the AFC West is the Los Angeles Chargers of San Diego. I'm sorry, the San Diego Chargers of Los Angeles. So this is an interesting one for me too, because I think the Chargers have a bad ownership group as well. I think Anthony Lynn is a good head coach. I like Anthony Lynn, but I don't think the organization wants to win. I think there's a couple of coaches in the NFL that are like that. They're not going to blow the season to get Trevor Lawrence because they drafted Justin Herbert, right? So, but they have Tyrod Taylor starting at quarterback. I have never been, especially after their first couple of years, but Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, I have no faith in because I don't think either one of them can stay on the field. Austin Eckler has surprised everybody and come out as the top running back in the league. And by top, I mean, there's not that many, but I put him in the top 10. Hunter Henry is a good tight end if he's utilized correctly. And my last note I have here is how long until Herbert's starting at quarterback? I have the Los Angeles Chargers at 4-12.
I have them actually at 7-9 because I actually think they're going to surprise a lot of people on offense. And I think they have a really, really good defense. Better than a lot of people think.
They do have a good defense.
Like Lance Leonard coach too. I think that they're going to surprise a lot of teams. I think they're going to feed on a lot of the bottom feeders in this league to put off some good cheap wins, but they'll be there at the end of the day.
Yeah, I got them going 6-10. I think Herbert probably would have been the number one pick had he came out last year. However, I just don't believe in quarterbacks that come out of Oregon because Mariota's trash too. So I feel like he'll be a bust at some point. But same thing with with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. Great talents. Derwin James, great talent. Melvin Ingram, great talent. But they don't reach their potential ever because, like I said, they're not able to be on the field.
Yeah.
So they'll go 6-10. Anthony Lynn will be cleaning his desk out at the end of the year, and that'll be the end of that era for them.
So we're gonna go with 6-10 on the Chargers. That's what I'm deciding here. And Bob, we're not that mean. So finally, in the AFC West, we have the Denver Broncos, or Craig's favorite team, the Denvers. Yeah, Craig loves the Denvers.
The Denvers.
This is an interesting one because I don't like Vic Fangio. I thought last year was an interesting year for the Denver Broncos, finishing 7-9. I thought that was almost generous. I know it's fact. It's what happened, but I thought that was generous. They have Cortland Sutton. They drafted Jerry Jeudy. They signed Melvin Gordon, so they have Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay. Drew Lock is now going to have his first full season. Their defense just lost Von Miller, which is tough to an ankle injury. I still like their defense, but I'm going to go back-to-back 7-9 seasons for the Denver Broncos. I think they're moving in the right direction. I don't think Vic Fangio is the guy to get them there, but for right now, 7-9.
For the last 5 weeks of the season last year, Drew Lock led them to a 5-1 record last year. So it's put a lot of
He's good. I like Drew Lock.
So it's put a lot of people on watch out for Denver's mode. So you can but I just don't think they're ready for prime time anytime soon. And with the loss of Von Miller, especially today on Tuesday, I don't think they're going to be a good team this year. I have a 5-11.
go quickly. Got him going 8-8. I'm on the Drew Lock bandwagon. I like Judy. I like Sutton. I like Phillip Lindsay. I like Noah Fant. They're gonna miss Von Miller, but I think they go 8-8.
Let's put them in 7-9.
With 5. No seconds to spare. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that I thought that was the best segment. I agree with most of what you said there. I do think that it is unrealistic that the Chiefs lose more than one game. I also think that if they are 15-0, there is no way that they rest their starters and don't go 16-0. I am also on the lock bandwagon. I think that the Broncos could be a sneaky team in that division. Don't count out the Raiders, but the Chargers are just terrible. Tyrod sucks. That team doesn't want to win. You're right. Go ahead, DK.
I can't believe that the majority opinion of the SNSW Sunday Night Sports Wrap team is that John Gruden is a good coach. He's got to be the stupidest man in football. I hate that guy. Everything he says is ludicrous. He's a terrible coach. He's got a dumb quarterback. He's a dumb guy. Two dumbs definitely make a dumb. So,
the owner's pretty dumb too, but I can't.
I don't even know about if you hire John Gruden, you're an idiot. So there you go. He's responsible for the worst Super Bowl of my lifetime, and I 100% hate him. That's the only thing I have to say about that.
Is it true he still drives a van?
Short bus, I believe, is the vehicle of choice.
Go ahead, Bobby. 30 seconds, Bobby.
Chiefs, completely agree. I completely disagree with you, DK. I love the Raiders this year. I think that they are going to be a sleeper team in the
Let me just peel myself off the ceiling with the surprise that just shot me up there that you're a Gruden fan. Why am I not surprised?
And then with the Chargers, I disagree with all of you. I think the Chargers are also a sneaky team. I think Justin Herbert is going to be a really good quarterback in the NFL. I really liked him at Oregon. I know he's not a pro-style offense guy, but I really like Herbert. I think the Chargers are a sneaky team. I do think the Chiefs will go undefeated. I actually had that. I was thinking that the whole time.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the main event of tonight's show is the AFC East. Joe, you have 12 minutes, and that 12 minutes starts right fucking now.
Let's do this backwards because I think we all thought I was going to start in New England, and I'm not. I'm actually going to start in reverse order of how I think this division is going to finish. So we're going to start with the New York Jets. Adam Gase is a fraud and is another coach who will be fired before the end of the season. Again, the New York Jets, a terrible ownership group. I think I don't even know where to put my thoughts with Adam Gase because I'm just he frustrates me so much. They effectively imploded in 2019, and I think it's because of him. Le'Veon Bell is nothing since he left Pittsburgh. And that can be argued, I know, but he's a shell of himself. Look at him and Antonio. The worst thing they did was to leave Pittsburgh. They should have just stayed and played it out because they'd probably have a Super Bowl. Their defense is probably what's going to win them games. I'm not a huge Sam Darnold guy, but I also think that Adam Gase is ruining Sam Darnold. And they also have the third hardest schedule in the NFL. I have them at 4-12, which actually is probably generous after what I just said about them, but 4-12 for the New York Jets.
The entire schedule for the AFC East is just a landmine. It's just tough every week. They don't have an easy – and none of these four teams have easy weeks head into the season. The New York Jets stink. They are really bad. Their biggest addition from this offseason, two of them, one of them's not even playing, and that's Joe Flacco. The second one, Brashad Perriman, he to me is a minus on this team than what they had with Robbie Anderson last year. The Jets are so bad. They're probably going to end up getting a couple of sneaky wins, but they are a 4-12 team at best.
No, I'm sleeping on the Jets. No, they go 5-11. I still think Sam Darnold sees ghosts all year, not just for the Patriots, but all year. Adam Gase was given this job because of what he did with Peyton Manning, and he's done nothing in Miami. He's done nothing in New York.
And he didn't even do anything with Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was already Peyton Manning.
Right, exactly. But
Manning got
certain guys get opportunities, but that's another podcast for another day.
Sure, but Adam Gase got the job in New York because of Peyton Manning. I mean, he also had other quarterbacks out there, including Brock Osweiler, who he's slightly made look okay. He's a bad coach.
Yeah, now he's slightly on the bench. But yeah, 5-11. They don't do much, and
have them doing better than we do.
Yeah, I think with because I don't think Le'Veon Bell is as bad as you guys saying he is. Like, obviously he's not what he was in Pittsburgh, but I think if he's utilized in the right way, which he probably won't, that's saying a lot. But I think they could find a way to win 5 games. I mean, they did beat Dallas last year too. That play to Robbie Anderson last year was great. So that was one of my favorite players of the year. So
I can't believe they let him go. He was their best player.
We're moving on to the next team. It's the Miami Dolphins. They were 5-11 last year with Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback. He's been named quarterback again for the Dolphins in 2020 with Tua Tagovailoa behind him. Devontae Parker, Mike Gesicki are going to be vital in that offense. Fitzpatrick, it's funny that I'm about to say this, but he's another guy that makes it happen with his feet. That sounds so weird to say, but he did. I mean, he won them games with his feet last year, which is wild. Brian Flores has what it takes to be a good NFL coach, and I can't see them being worse than 5-11. They drafted 2 offensive linemen in the first 2 rounds to keep Fitzpatrick upright. Fitzpatrick threw 20 touchdowns and 13 interceptions in 2019. Again, another organization that's not run very well. I believe they will beat New England in Miami again this year. Their defense is suspect. I have them at 7-9.
They have spent so much money trying to rebuild this team that I am very happy that they are starting Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback because, I'm still not sure if Tua Tagovailoa is 100% heading into the season. I know people keep telling me but I saw that injury he had during college. And, I think it's better to play it safe than them when they know they're not going to compete this year, but they're looking forward to it in the future. But they rebuilt and spent a ton of money on their defense this year. So I expect them to at least, be a somewhat competent team. I'm not saying they're going to be good, but, I expect them to at least, have some good games. But still, they're a 4-12 team at best.
I actually had them improving 2 games from last year. I think they go 7-9 as well. So me and Joe agree again. Go figure. I like the Tua pick. Fans down there last year, I was living down there at the time. They talked about tanking for Tua. So it worked for them. So I guess they were happy with that. And like I said, I think spending money on that defense was key. So getting Van Noy, getting Byron Jones, I forget some other names they added, but I just think that helps. And so
a lot of expatriates.
Yeah, so which makes sense, but that feeds into what Flores was trying to do down there. So he's trying to build a different culture. So, but they go 7-9, I think.
I'm gonna make a weird executive decision on this, and I know on the NFC side they kind of, if 2 people agreed, I'm actually gonna knock them down to 6-10, because I do think they improve. I'm not sold. I'm not sold yet, and I think it's because we're going to see Tua take over at some point, and I don't know how that experiment's going to go. But I think Fitzpatrick is the right guy to have down there. Give the elder statesman the football if Tua doesn't do well, and try and do something with it. But 6-10, because I think 7-9 could. Then we're talking about fighting for something if they can be that good. So the team that I believe is going to finish second in the AFC East, drum roll please. Nothing. All right, the Buffalo Bills, I have them at 10-6. They're young. They have playmakers all over their offense. Josh Allen is not the most accurate passer, but he will get the job done. Devin Singletary in the backfield he was a big part of that team last year. He's going to be even more a part of that team this year. Their wide receiver core is very Patriots-esque. It's interesting what Sean McDermott is doing up there. They have speedy guys with good hands: Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, John Brown. Elder statesmen of the offense. Their offensive line will keep Allen upright. The Bills' defense was second in yards allowed last season, and Sean McDermott has a great opportunity right now to do big things in Buffalo with a bit of a changing of the guard in New England. Not full. We're kind of just the prince has ventured out, but the king is still there. I have the Buffalo Bills at 10-6.
I also have the Buffalo Bills at 10-6. I do have them winning the division at 10-6. I think that Josh Allen
we're gonna go at it. Let's go.
I think that Josh Allen right now as it looks right now, and we haven't played an NFL game yet, is the best quarterback in this division. I think that Stephon Diggs gives them the best chance to win. That's right. All right, come on, bring it. Come on.
I'll get to it when we get to the next team. Go ahead.
All right, but I have them at 10-6. I think they win this division.
Well, Craig, we agree, sir. But I think they're going 11-5.
We got a handicap match coming up in a minute.
Right. That's fine. Let's go. I think they go 11-5. Josh Allen is the best quarterback in this division right now. Even without playing the game, I feel like Tre'Davious White is a top 5 corner in the game.
100%.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. So if they had a better offense, they probably would have beat us twice last year, but they didn't. So I just think they win 11 games this year, and the division goes through Orchard Park.
This is kind of a handicap here where I don't hate the 11-5. I'm gonna put them in 10-6 because as a team we need to be in that ballpark. So I'm gonna put them in 10-6, and we can talk about who wins the division after I tell you that. I'm gonna lead into the New England Patriots by saying that you all 5 of you know me very well and know that I am not a homer when it comes to the New England Patriots. I love my Patriots. I'll cry whether you guys think it was real or not when we're talking about the 2001 Super Bowl. I can't for the life of me, and if the other 3 of you make a note and say it after we finish this, I can't for the life of me understand why you think Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the AFC East. Cam Newton is the best quarterback in the AFC East. He has an MVP. He's won an MVP. He's won playoff games. He is the best quarterback in the AFC East, and now he's playing for the best coach in the AFC, possibly in the NFL. The addition of Cam Newton alone gives the Patriots 10-12 wins, where I think without him, they're 8-8, 9-7. He's not Tom Brady, but he's dynamic. If he's, again, the theme, and Mike and I talked about it beforehand, and Dave as well. I think Dave was the one that said it when I said it's all about health. And he was like, well, that's because you're in the midst of all your fantasy football drafts. It's very true, but he's dynamic. He adds a dimension to the offense that they were in desperate need of after Tom Brady left. And not that Tom Brady was as dynamic as Cam Newton was, but Cam Newton can make plays Tom Brady couldn't and can't, and Tom Brady can make decisions that Cam Newton won't be able to. James White is going to play a huge part in this offense. He's not Christian McCaffrey to Cam Newton, but they have 2 very young tight ends. Their wide receiver core is the most suspect unit on the entire team. Sony Michel is in a make-or-break year this year. They signed a fullback in Jacob Johnson, who I think will be very important to Michel's game. Bill Belichick is still the head coach of this team, and if everyone rows the ship in the right direction, there's no way they lose this division, that Cam Newton isn't the best quarterback in the AFC East. Patriots of 11-5, winning the division.
I don't disagree with you on the principles. The principles there, I think we agree with. Should Cam Newton be the best quarterback, and maybe he will be the best quarterback in this division, 100% he could be. But I'm basing it on what I see right now, and the fact that I saw no preseason games, the fact that I had limited training camp film to see on him, and the fact that he was just a mess after what I saw from him last year. I'm just not willing to put all my chips on the table and go in on that. And specifically for this Patriots team, which, by the way, I have at 9-7 right now. It could change moving forward. I just have a hard time viewing them as the dominant Patriots team as that I remember them being. I look at that. I look at that defense. Yeah, their secondary is still amazing. I think Kyle Duggar's going to have an amazing season. Stephon Gilmore is going to do what he does. I look at their offense, particularly their wide receivers. As you mentioned, they're a mess. Julian Edelman's, I think, going to have another good year. N'Keal Harry, we're going to see. I'm higher on him than a lot of people are. But other than that, who's after him? Gunnar Olszewski? I think that what you're going to see –
hell of a punt returner.
But still, I think you're going to see the fact that they cut Mohamed Sanu so late in camp. I think you're going to see a lot of that offense that you saw in Carolina, where it's going to be a lot of passes out the back. And maybe that'll work for the Patriots. It'll be a different offense than we've ever seen. But right now, I just can't maybe after week 1, after they face Miami, things will be different. But right now, I just can't justify giving them any better than 9-7.
All right, so 9-7.
No, I mean, listen, Joe. I want you to be right. I do. I want you to be right. But like Craig said, as well, I see with my eyes, Josh Allen's been that guy. So they got to the playoffs last year. I just think they have what it takes to win the division again. Win the division this year, not again, but win it this year. So we'll see what happens. 10-6. 10-6.
All right, we'll go with 10-6 for New England. And guys, go ahead. I know we're a little over there, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's asinine for anyone to say that Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the AFC East. That is just absolute trash, especially when you have a former NFL MVP in there. As Joe did mention, with the greatest coach in the history of the game, they're not going to be like 14-2, but they are going to go 11-5. I think that Tua time is going to happen sooner than later in Miami. But ultimately, I think, my gut, I'm not a homer at all either. I do think the Patriots win that division. I don't know if they're going to go far, but they win that division.
I feel like you do think Josh Allen is better than Cam Newton, though, because in this SNSW Fantasy Football League, he went like 6 rounds before Cam Newton did. So if there was like a ton of faith in Cam Newton, I feel like somebody would have drafted him. Josh Allen's I don't think it's that outrageous to say Josh Allen's the best quarterback in that division. Like, he's gonna throw for a good amount of touchdowns this season. Cam Newton's a totally unknown entity in New England. Like, we don't even know what that team looks like, and he doesn't have a lot of people to throw to. Like, they were saying make or break on Sonny Michel. It's like, I mean, that guy's numbers are not great. I mean, I'm not a Pats fan. You guys know more than I do about them, but like, I don't know. Cam's it's 50-50. He's got a big upside, but I wouldn't say he's definitely the best quarterback in the division.
I think if Damian Harris was healthy.
Oh, your time's over. You already went. You already went for way longer than 12 minutes. Bobby, go ahead.
So I'm with the Bills take. I think Josh Allen is the best quarterback in that division. I think you see a big step up from Josh Allen this year. Not only do I think the Bills are going to win this division, but I think they're a serious dark horse to win the AFC. You heard it here first.
Jesus.
Yeah, great take. That's really hard.
You heard it here last too.
Well, we'll pick the Lions to win a fucking division. So, all right. So I also think that Sonny Michel is possibly the worst first-round running back maybe ever drafted besides Trent Richardson. I think he's an absolute bum, and he's going to be a reason that they lose a few games.
Where was Lawrence Maroney drafted?
I would take Lawrence Maroney over.
You are what? What? Mike, how are you and I the only two sane people on it? Like, I was with Rayshawn and Craig. I mean, the whole thing about Mahomes just blows my top off.
Wait a minute. Wait, stop. Time out.
Hold on. You guys aren't done yet. We need your three wild card picks.
Well, first of all,
wait, Joe. Hold on, Joe.
Now that segment's over. 3 wild card picks. That's it.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
all we have time for. 3 wild card.
First
picks.
of all, we have another conversation to have because we have an AFC North winner in the Ravens and an AFC West winner in the Chiefs. In the AFC South, we have the Texans, Titans, and Colts all at 9-7. Who wins the division?
I have the Texans.
Well, I
and
don't.
Rayshawn has the Colts, I have the Titans. So we're going with the Titans. AFC East. I'll get. You know what? I'll give this one to you guys. I completely disagree. But we can talk about that on another podcast because I think Rayshawn and I are going to have some words out by the flagpole at 3:00. I'm going to give you guys the Bills as the division winner. I think you're crazy. So our 3 wild card picks, based on record. It would be the New England Patriots. I think we can all agree on that. The Houston Texans and the Indianapolis Colts.
Yes.
Ray?
Yep.
Any objections?
Yeah, no. I mean, like I said, I got the Colts winning the division, so I don't think they're going to be wild card. I think they're winning the division. So.
Yeah, well, that's why we talked about that, and I'll give you the Bills, you son of a gun. All right. So, Mike, our picks are the Texans, Colts, and Patriots for the wild cards in the AFC.
I mean, I do think that the AFC South this year is probably the division in the AFC. I mean, obviously the Chiefs, we know what they're going to do. We all get it. But those 3 teams, in my opinion, are going to be fighting for a playoff spot. It looks like you gave them all one, so that's good. But no, I think that's a pretty good take.
And Joe, I have to give you all the credit in the world right now. The fact that you just put your Pats at a wild card and held your Pat segment to only 5 minutes, I think just deserves so much recognition. I think.
You know what? It should have been longer. And when DK said that we were only going to be given 12 minutes here, I was like, listen here, pal. That's not going to be enough for the Patriots alone.
No one told you to stretch the Tua and the Dolphins out to 8 minutes.
I really did. I stretched the Dolphins 6-10 team out to 8 minutes, however long it was. But
it's impressive. It's impressive
but I'm not forgiving Bobby for that Lawrence Maroney take and Sony Michel. That's awful.
That's a weak ass take.
That's why we have Sunday shows, guys. The game's over. Right. Congratulations.
And if you are listening to this, and I'm sure Craig will do this in post, but if you have listened to this whole thing and made it to this point, we do have our live show on Sunday evening at 5:00, the Sunday Night Sports Wrap, the flagship show of the SNSW Podcast Network, from 5 to 7. All 6 of us will be there, and it's going to be a good one because not only do we have football starting, but we'll be on right at the end of the Patriots-Dolphins game and during the 4 p.m. game. So come hang out and watch and listen to games with us as we talk mostly about football and probably the NBA.
Well, I'll be sitting in front of our flat screens.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be sitting right here, so you'll all get to.
You guys have flat screens? I still listen to it on the radio.
Well, I heard about that in L.A. It's about those sweeping power outages, isn't it?
Are you still playing with those little leather helmets?
I just want to say, like, my final word on this entire podcast is the Detroit Lions pick will win us the game, but it can't lose us the ultimate game. Okay, Bobby? So that's why you make picks like that. Yeah. You grow a set and you make a pick. Go ahead.
So that's where we need to go back to is the point of the game is that, Mike, Bob, Dave are the NFC team. Myself, Craig, and Rayshawn are the AFC team. We're trying to win the most points by being within 2 wins of their win total and picking the playoff teams as well. So. And then, again, we don't know what the prize is going to be yet, but it's going to be something and probably embarrassing like they do in fantasy football or something. I don't know. Who knows what we're going to do. We will do a final word in just a second, but just to give you a full and complete rundown one more time real quick. In the NFC for Bob, Dave, and Mike, NFC East, they have the Cowboys winning at 10-6, Eagles at 8-8, Giants at 5-11, football team at 3-13. That's so freaking weird. NFC North, they have the Lions at 9-7 as the division winner, the Bears at 9-7 as a wild card, Vikings at 8-8, Packers at 6-10, NFC South, Buccaneers at 12-4 as the division winner, Saints at 11-5 as the wild card. As a wild card, Falcons 8-8, Panthers 5-11. In the NFC West, they have the Seahawks at 12-4, winning the division. 49ers at 10-6 as a wild card. Cardinals at 10-6, Rams at 6-10. In the AFC for myself, Rayshawn and Craig. In the North, we have the Ravens winning the division at 13-3, Steelers at 10-6, Browns at 8-8, Bengals at 4-12. In the AFC West, we have the Chiefs at 14-2 as a division winner. Then we have the Raiders at 8-8. The Broncos at 7-9, Chargers at 6-10, and in the AFC East, I don't know why they talked me into this. We have the Bills winning the division at 10-6, Patriots as a wild card at 10-6, Dolphins at 6-10, Jets at 4-12. I also just realized that we gave 3 playoff spots to teams in the AFC South and completely boned the Steelers.
Yeah, you sure did.
Yep, we did.
The Steelers.
Patriots like to bone the Steelers. That's the thing that they like to do. So
they do.
It checks out.
Well, I really hope the Steelers stink and the AFC South gets 3 playoff teams.
You like my home. You like my home life to be miserable. That's essentially what you're saying.
Oh, geez. She's not a Steelers fan, is she?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine. My wife's a Cardinals fan, so I don't really have to worry about anything. So, final words here. I'm going to start on the NFC side with Dave.
That was a super fun show. I really enjoyed doing all those picks. I initially was panicked at Mike picking the Detroit Lions, even with a winning record or an over 500 record, but apparently we're putting all our eggs in that basket. I feel like I'm about to lose my last 50 grand on the Detroit Lions, but whatever, let it ride.
Bobby.
Yeah, first of all, the first take is that me and DK both somehow convinced Mike to put the Cowboys and the Bears into the playoffs, so I see that as a fucking win. And B, as much as I hated that Lions take, you're right, Mike. Shooters fucking shoot. Let's go Lions.
So you
Bobby's now dropped the most F-bombs in a show. Mike, I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna go to Rayshawn here.
Yeah, I won't be swearing. This was dope. I expect the AFC to wipe the NFC. Just want to make that clear. AFC all the way, baby. As you see by my shirt, even though you guys can't see it, but I'm wearing the Pats jersey. Shout out to Teddy Bruschi. But as always, I'll end every show until this happens. Arrest the cops that killed Breonna Taylor.
Craig, you're a talent tonight. So final words.
I know it's weird, isn't it? People actually get to hear me talk rather than edit these shows for 2 hours.
Everybody's gonna love it, and they're gonna tell the rest of us to get off the show, and it should just be the Craig show. But we're not gonna let that happen.
No, I know where my talent lies. This is different for us. This is a good show. We're gonna have 4 hours of podcasts out for this week for everybody, including Sunday. So hopefully everybody enjoyed it. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, let us know. Of course you liked it. Let us know in the comments down below.
Mike, go ahead.
You know what? I just want to say, I think that the amount of ass grabbing that happened on the AFC side was alarming and offensive. I think that what separates our show from other shows are the fact that we have difference of opinion and we have different takes, and we all have to make a decision based off of that. I feel like we did that on the NFC side. I'm taking the Detroit Lions. Shooters do fucking shoot. You're all right, Bobby. And the NFC team is going to take this home. But thank you, Joe.
I think the Lions. I think that's wild. I think that's wild. I think putting the Lions and the Bears in the playoffs over the Vikings and the Packers is wild. I understand the logic, so I'll let it go. But my other take on the NFC is, and I'll say it again on Sunday, and it's not as important as what Rayshawn said, but I'll say this until it happens. The Buccaneers are not winning a Super Bowl, and they're not going to a Super Bowl. And in the AFC, if anybody's a Steelers fan listening and heard what we did, I take full responsibility for keeping the Steelers out of the playoffs at 10-6. Guys, this was fun. I enjoyed this, and a little more ass grabbing. We do have to give Dave some credit here for putting this together. I think this is going to be fun to watch throughout the season. We'll give people a kind of an idea of what's going on. NFL starts Thursday night. We really can't wait for the NFL season this year. A little something to keep our minds off of things and change our mindset here a little bit.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot the world is a pretty shitty place right now, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's why we get together every week, because I like talking to you guys a lot more than I like being in the outside world.
I don't like talking to my team. I'm done with those guys.
You're done with those guys?
Oh my god. Bobby jumped ship on the last division. He was like, I want to be on their team.
And you guys are all nice to each other.
I don't understand why you guys are so mad. I put the Bears and the Cowboys in the playoffs.
Listen.
You only gave the Bears a wild card spot.
Hey, we had final words already. It's on the host. I'm going to shut up and host. Thanks, Rayshawn.
Craig's going to have to cut a ton of this end part out.
We are going to make those shirts, by the way.
The Lions making the playoffs or winning the division would be the most 2020 thing ever to happen. So you know what? It's probably going to happen. So
tomorrow they cancel the football season. We just can't release this podcast.
Yeah, right.
Lions.
Would be the most 2020 thing ever.
Guys, this was good. Craig, thanks for jumping on this side of the wall as well and being talent for this one. But we are –
people forget I have takes. That's the problem.
Well, we know you have takes. It's just when we get to the Patriots, it gets a little long. I mean, we were trying to cut it down.
And also, there's 6 people on this show. I got to let you guys do your thing.
It's true, which is another reason why this kind of format worked a little bit. So, we'll have to do it for the MLB. I'm just kidding. I can't even finish that sentence. So, guys, thanks again for joining us here on the SNSW podcast. The NFL division preview was a lot of fun. Thank you for listening. If you're not subscribed, subscribe, download, and listen to our episodes. Follow us on social media. Craig will have all that down in the description below. For my co-host this evening, Michael Marcangelo, Rayshawn Buchanan, Dave Clark, Bob Kelly, the best producer in the game, and pretty good talent too, Craig D'Alessandro. My name's Joe Malkin. Thanks for joining us. enjoy the football season. We'll talk to you on Sunday.
Thanks for tuning in to episode 6 of the SNSW Podcast. One final time, I'm Craig D'Alessandro, executive producer of the SNSW Network. If this is your first time finding us and you like what you heard, please consider subscribing. It's the easiest way to see when we publish new episodes. The SNSW Podcast is a 1-hour weekly, 2-hour monthly podcast recapping the biggest stories in the world of sports with a New England flavor. The show notes and transcript of today's episode can be found in the description box below, as well as our WordPress and Buzzsprout pages. We are on iTunes, Spotify, Google, and wherever you generally get your podcast. Be sure to rate us and leave a review of any of our shows. We always appreciate your feedback. And, of course, follow us on all of our social medias. All of our links will be in the show notes. Once again, for the SNSW crew, I'm Craig D'Alessandro. We'll talk to you next time.
Introducing the Deep Leadership Podcast. Leadership is a people business. That's the philosophy of your podcast host, John Rennie. As a former submarine officer who spent 22 years leading businesses in corporate America before starting his own manufacturing business, he knows that leadership matters. Deep Leadership is real-world, actionable leadership advice from John and his expert guests. Become a leader worth following. Subscribe today.
Electricast. Hey, it's Tim from 50 Years of Music with 50-Year-Old White Guys, the comedy podcast you had no idea you needed. Join Ben, Jeff, and me as we continue our musical road trip back through the years and around the globe. See, just when you thought all white guys were like Joe Rogan, you come across 3 educators trying to remember when we were cool.
50 Years of Music with 50-Year-Old White Guys.
Electricast.